do you want to do the intro?
No. I'm not qualified to do that.
So hello and welcome to Rewriting Bad Books. And today we are looking at Alec Worley's Year One. We are going to rewrite the very first paragraph of the book.
Mm-hmm.
I will read this.
Mm-hmm.
We will talk about how and why it works or doesn't work.
Yeah.
And then we will read our examples of how we've rewritten it, and we will talk about what they do differently.
Mm.
Do you want to read it?
No, by all means, you've got a lovely voice, you carry on.
I have to work twice as hard as you. I should get twice as much money. What is twice nothing?
Could have lied. Could have said we're being paid a fortune.
Well, send donations. So,
Send donations.
shall I read this text?
Yeah.
I think it's worth mentioning that this takes place in the Judge Dredd universe. It's part of that appears in 2000 AD and in the Dredd the magazine, obviously. Zack placed Rena's Synthicaf on the table and smiled. Rena snarled and thrust her fork into his eye. He staggered backwards, open-mouthed, barging into the table behind him, spilling hot drinks into the laps of other people who stood and cursed him. The table capsized as Zack sprawled onto the floor. He sat up, touching the utensil protruding from his eye. A woman screamed.
So obviously it's a hook in, to get the reader going. I felt the situation was not conveyed serious enough for the fact that somebody has literally just been stabbed in the eye, and I really felt that the writer didn't convey that sense of panic, wildness that's actually happened here, that's taken place.
It's interesting that you should say that, because that is something that has happened, I think, in the pages of 2000 AD, and that Judge Dredd particularly was commentary on Thatcher's government when it started, and kind of like...
Right.
That's why it has like the big fascist uniform with the eagle. It's like basically calling Thatcher a fascist.
Yeah.
And as part of the fascist government is like a desensitization to violence. So the violence was very OTT and cartoony at the start, and over the years has come to be portrayed in a more gritty or real way in 2000 AD.
Right.
And this is from 2000 and it's either 2015 or 2017.
Mm-hmm.
The confusion is because the book is, I think, 2017, but this story was originally published a couple of years before that came out in the book. So it is very much of that modern 2000 AD ethos, in which violence then would be portrayed as being a serious thing with serious consequences for a comic. But at the same time, I don't find this comic in an amusing way. So it's not.
No, I don't think it does that either, does it? No.
With the sort of early days where you might see this ridiculously over the top violence and perhaps even laugh at it.
Yeah.
I don't think it does that, and I don't think it shows it in a gritty way.
No.
I'm not sure that, when he touches the utensil, the shock of it, of having that happen to you would be enormous.
It's terrible. It would be terrifying, wouldn't it?
It might be something that you did. You might be so completely unable to process what happened that you would go, what the hell, and touch the thing. But in that sense, that sort of complete sense of shock that would be overwhelming you, you don't get that from this text either.
No, you don't. No.
But the narrator, which is something I've changed a little in mine, is very external to everything. There isn't really... I mean, Rena's like angry and snarling, but why? So, I obviously it's intended, as you said, it's a big shock to draw you in. It's like, stabbed in the eye, like the second sentence, But
funny enough, it is conveyed in quite that banal way. It's not really being... It's not portraying it as a very terrifying, shock, confusing situation, is it? Or it's not really being overly comedic either. So I don't think it's not really doing... Yes, it would draw you in, but it's a very superficial sort of, oh, well, okay, I'm not invested in any of this happening at all, really.
No. Well, we don't know who these people are at all. We don't know anything about them. We don't know where they are. Once you remove the shock, it's empty. There's nothing there at all. And I'm just, even like word choices that I would question. Like he staggered backwards, open-mouthed, barging into the table behind him. Now, I would use barging with agency.
Yeah, you would.
You know,
yeah,
I would
full
barge,
autonomy.
I would barge into somebody to be an arsehole to.
Yeah.
I wouldn't barge into something by accident. I might trip, I'll fall over something by
exactly
accident,
right. Yeah.
stumble into something by accident, but I wouldn't barge into it.
But it's also, it's the reactions of the people of the table, who he's just barged into, who stood and cursed him. I don't think personally that you would react in that way. And I think that's another slightly incongruous element to this scene, Yeah, you might be slightly annoyed he's just barged into your table, but he's got a fork in his eye. You're not going to be that, disrespectful or uncaring as to actually curse him and for that reason, Presumably they can see that he's got a fork in his eye.
I was going to say, the only way that reaction feels appropriate would be if you didn't notice that he had a fork in his eye, which obviously you probably would.
I'd hope so. I mean, he is going backwards, admittedly, but yeah.
But he barges into the table. Then you have this spilling hot drinks into the laps of other people who stood and cursed him. Then you have the table capsizing.
Yeah.
Now, shouldn't he barge into the table and then capsize the table? Or just skip the barging completely? He staggered backwards, open-mouthed, capsizing the table behind him and sprawling onto the floor.
Yeah.
Because that seems like that is the reaction to that. But when you say spilling hot drinks into the laps of another couple who stood and cursed him, think about that in a cinematic way.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so what we're showing is, the table's tipped over. Oh, it's gone onto me. I'm standing up. I'm like, you idiot.
Yeah.
That's 3, 4, 5 beats. It's quite a long time for you to be going, well, what's Zach doing in that time? Because then the table is capsizing. It's like, it's kind of action consequences is how you should write. Action something else consequences is wrong. It breaks the flow. The timing is off.
Interestingly, and I've obviously agreed with you throughout all of that, but when I read mine, I have done exactly that.
Have you?
Yeah, so that'd be quite just see what you think. But yeah, so I have actually done.
See, it might. I'm trying to cover myself now. I didn't know, but I think that you might get away with it.
Yeah. With
better writing.
4 out of 10.
3. Action consequences.
Yeah.
And also, he sat up, touching the utensil protruding from his eye.
Yeah, it's
when you pick a verb, they're the kind of key parts, I think, to your text. They really are.
Yeah.
They determine,
certainly from a structural sentence. Yeah.
And you could put adverbs. He gingerly touched, and things like that. But you can also just felt. That's immediately softer than touching.
Yeah.
Touching is what I call a nothing verb. It doesn't convey any sort of sense.
No, it doesn't, does it?
How,
other than contact, but that's it.
He fingered. You'd be like, what's that?
Yeah.
Or grabbing at, because he's so shocked and confused, he might be trying to pull it out. So sort of use it. The verb choices, I think, really can make or break a text.
Yeah.
He sat up.
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything.
No, and interestingly, it's a bit of a non-starter, that whole sentence.
Because if you sit up...
You could sit up for a picnic, couldn't you?
Yeah,
let's be
but
honest.
Also, is he touching the utensil? He sat up, touching the utensil. So he's sitting up while touching.
Yeah.
I would suggest somebody try that. That's... It's almost like doing a sit-up, where you don't support yourself with your arms. Because if you sit up at any sort of situation, even getting up off the settee, you're going to use your hands to push yourself up.
Yeah.
You're not going to be like...
Yeah.
So it just... I just think that the use of the language here is all wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, then we have this woman that screamed, and that is just almost as anonymous as Zach and Mina themselves.
Yeah.
Like, who are they? Why are they screaming? Are they screaming because the other couple, they didn't scream?
No.
They seem more immediate to the action.
Yeah.
And they're cursing him.
Yeah.
Whereas who is this woman? Is she one of the couple?
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know, I think it's like this, that, instead of this, that, which would be the proper way of writing it.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's so anonymous and so blank that it's just empty.
Yes, it's ironical that it's trying to grab you, but when you get over that superficialness to it. It doesn't really do that. Not really.
No.
It wouldn't make me want to read on, I don't think.
You don't think?
No, I don't. Not to be sort of snobbish about it. I don't think it would.
No.
I really don't think it would.
I mean, the sense that I got from that is not. That's a great shock. That I have to carry on reading. It's like, what is this mystery that's before me? There's no mystery. It's just some strangers being violent, which, particularly if you're familiar with the world of Judge Dredd, is not shocking. That everybody's violent to everybody. The more shocking in 2000 AD would be to have no violence.
But even then, you still want, as a reader, even though that is a very violent environment, you still want to see those sort of things of relationships with people. You still want to get a sense of, so you can relate to them. You want to understand potentially what is going on between these two. Obviously something. I'd like there to be something before the violent act. I'd want to get a sense of the dynamic between them. So you can relate to it.
There is a way that you can tell whether you've done a good job with your people or not, and that is to ask, why have you named them?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Because if you read this with pronouns, he placed her Synthicaf on the table and smiled. She snarled and thrust her fork into his eye. Is it any different?
Yes.
Because it's not, is it?
No.
It's exactly the same effect. Because we don't know Zach, we don't know Rena, we don't know anything about them, we don't know where they are. It's all completely irrelevant. They may as well not be named. The couple are not named. The screaming woman's not named. They're not doing any more to this story than Zach and Rena are. So just take it out. Okay, does it still do exactly the same? Yeah, so then you don't have two characters in this scene. You just have two names.
Yeah. See, I'm hoping with mine, I've been very... thin on the ground with sort of, what would you say, sort of like a past narrative between them. But I have written something that hopefully suggests or is suggestive of some kind of relationship between them. That's slightly awry. And hopefully it works. It's not an awful lot, but hopefully it does what I want it to do, to at least give some kind of sense of that you can relate to them more. Okay. As a reader,
So why don't you read your one?
Zach slowly slid Rena's Synthicaf across the table towards her, smiling. Rena looked at the coffee, then into Zach's eyes. She feigned receiving the cup, but grabbed her fork. Her smile became a bestial snarl. She stabbed the prongs into his eye. He shouted and staggered backwards. A woman walking by screamed and dropped her drink, the cup smashing. The couple sat at a nearby table, holding hands, let go and jumped up, toppling their chairs over, trying desperately to get out of the way of Zach's bloody, maimed body as he crashed through their table. Zach's sprawling limbs, bloody face and wild screams filled the cafe. Everyone around him was rushing, shouting, panicking, except Rena, who sat perfectly still with a smile. I wanted to keep it structurally similar, to what was happening in the original, and I thought about how would I obviously keep the same structure but write it slightly differently, totally inject something a bit more worthwhile of the reader's investment,
I do like this first line, and I think you've definitely done it slowly slid, and you're probably, when you're thinking about it, you're probably thinking, how much alliteration, how much sibilance can I get away with?
Yeah.
Because sibilance is a funny thing.
Isn't it?
You can use it in a calming way.
Yeah.
But you also use it, you can't get away from the snake-like quality, and the snake-like quality inevitably leads to duplicitous.
Yeah, that's right. It does.
The Garden of Eden, not
a lot of connotations there,
not trusting that
Yeah.
snake. So it kind of works on two levels.
That is the sort of awkwardness that I wanted. Just movement there, slowly slid, and it's quite awkward to say. So that's where I want to at least inject that kind of sense of, okay, there's something going on here. We're not quite sure, but, let's see where it goes. But there's something,
Yeah, no, I think it's doubly awkward.
Yeah,
because
it is,
you've got the comma smiling.
Yeah.
Is really off. You read it and go, yeah, there's something going on here. It's very much that sibilance of the something untoward.
Yeah. Yes, it's a slower pace to the narrative, but stuff's happening.
Yes.
There's a sort of preemptiveness and a processing of what she's going to do. Yeah.
There's this peace almost in this I'm going to look into the coffee, I'm going to look into it. So I'm talking about the 1 beat, the 2 beats, the 3 beats, the timing of the movements. You think, right, okay, so there's time has passed.
Yeah.
We feel it in the words, even though you don't have like a whole paragraph to say. You feel the time in the words. And there's a piece to it, which we have again at the end, when she's still sat perfectly still.
Yeah, it comes
smiling.
back to it, doesn't it? Yeah.
But in the middle of that, you have this bestial frenzy, this act of violence. There's a real contrast. It's like a violent sandwich between this piece. I think it really does work.
I mean, one thing I did want to sort of come back to is obviously the bestial sort of side here that you mentioned, and it was something that I wanted to embellish in this scene. The action is still the same. It's essentially the fork in the eye. So I kind of never lose sight of that. But I wanted to at least enlarge, what is happening here? What's happening to basically, the human sort of interaction? It's no longer cordial, obviously.
No.
What is taking place? It's really quite a nasty, kind of, I say primitive, but it really is a bestial act. So I wanted to kind of bring that right into it and have this animalistic sense of the action that's taken place. And because the action's happened kind of to him, he then sort of becomes like this sort of beast on the floor with the sprawling limbs, the maimed body, so it's I wanted to work that into there, that kind of symbolism there, and draw attention to the level of the violence.
There's consequences
to
being stabbed in the eye with a fork.
It's
like, this is not something, I mean, I like I said, when we were talking about earlier, when he sits up and it's like, you could be so shocked.
You could.
That would be your reaction. But I think if you were writing somebody in that way, then you would use an internal perspective.
Yes.
Like, not necessarily first person, but definitely you'd be relating Zach's thoughts.
Yeah.
He was so shocked that his hand instinctively, gingerly felt for the fork in his eye.
Yeah.
Something along those lines, whereas as opposed to he sat up touching utensils, it's just empty words. Whereas yours is still, as Worley's version, is external. We don't get into Zach's thought processes, but we do see the consequences of the violence, very much so. Yeah.
Definitely thinking along the injured animal kind of lines as well. Yeah.
You're talking about it like bestial, but I was thinking more along the lines of, it's almost Conrad. Heart of Darkness, a degeneration, that sort of change.
Absolutely,
That's where that took me, especially followed by wild screams. It feels very Conrad. I might be wrong.
Well, it certainly would fit very well in Heart of Darkness, that kind of description. Well, I say that.
I'm not going to go as far as to say that you're as good a writer as Conrad.
Yeah. This would not look out of place in a Conrad novel, Yeah. Lord Jim.
Do you know where it would be out of place? It would be out of place in Year One by Alec Worley, because it's so much better than the rest of the book.
Yeah, hopefully.
I'd say really good, and I'd give you 5 out of 10.
But the thing I wanted to just add there, just the last bit, we haven't, to acknowledge, we haven't spent an awful lot of time, have we, really, redoing this? So that I'm not making a point that it's easy to surpass what we've got here, but with just a little bit of thought, a little bit of care with what you're doing and the language you're using, and whether it's symbolism or rhyme or the structure of a piece, it can transcend just a fairly banal piece of writing in not all that long.
Everything that you've tried to do with it works.
Yeah,
and that's the thing, is that you're trying to do something with it, whereas I'm not really sure that Worley is beyond it's going to be shocking.
Yeah,
I will say this, and it does work in defence of Worley as well, is I actually found this really, really hard. And in fact, you'll see that I've cheated, because Worley uses 1 paragraph and I've done 2.
Yeah, so there's 2.
Mine is considerably longer than his.
I wonder why you found that hard. I wonder if it's...
Well, what I'll do is I'll read it.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about it, and we'll
because I did struggle, because I felt that there wasn't much, really to go on. I mean, you've got the action obviously taking place, but there's not a lot to go on, really. Yes.
You have, in terms of writing, almost like a time limit. We've had this discussion on the Great Intros video. You don't really, but you want to have like a great shock or Worley does, so I have to.
Yes,
because I'm trying to redo what he did, but do it better.
Yeah.
So I kind of have to have this shock, which means I have to get it in early. But at the same time, I want to create all sorts of feelings to make that happen in a way that is stirring, that moves you, that is something that happens to an individual that you know something about and ideally care for a little bit. So I'll read mine, and then we'll have a bit more chat about it.
Far away, yeah.
Okay. Nervous knees carried Zach across the cafe. He waited for the serving droid and looked back at Rena. There was a word for girls like Rena, but the worry of the moment had whisked it away from him. Limned as she was by the light from the window, he mused that beautiful would have to do. Yesterday, he could only have dreamed things would go so well. It took him 2 attempts to stammer out their order, and the serving droid sensed his tension or had a glitch of its own, but it responded with a spark, a stutter, and 2 cups of Synthicaf as requested. Willing calm into his juddering legs, his trembling hands, he wound his way through the tables to Rena and sat down with a grin. Demure, the word came to him like an epiphany, a moment, a flash of clarity. Rena's fork slammed into his eye even faster. The shock, the pain, the dizzying, weightless tumble over the back of the chair, her writhing body on top of his, her fury snarling in his ear, his entire world was a jumbled furore, a smothering assault that could not be tallied. In an instant, the cafe distorted into bedlam. So, what I've tried to do here, and I've started with this alliteration, this knocking knees, I've tried to create Zach as a person, to create Zach as a person that we care for. I'm much more internal to Zach, whereas Worley and yourself stayed external. Yeah, I like his nervous knees. I think that's a fun little sort of alliteration knees. To sort of suggest that he's nervous, you know.
Yeah.
And then he looks at Rena, and I've got limbed and dreamed sort of in close surprise. It's a half rhyme, maybe. It's like
limbed, dream. Like, it's like power rhyme.
Yeah, like you have sort of worry and whisked. It's like soft sounds. I'm trying to create a sense around Rena, almost dreamlike.
Yeah,
like this cafe, almost like an I can't remember the painting. You'll probably know it's like 50s, and it's very diffused, and it's like setting an old diner, but you have this diffused light coming through. And it's kind of like that's what I was trying to sort of evoke that.
Nighthawks, do you? By Edward Hopper.
Quite possibly, I don't know.
It's a fabulous painting.
But there's also, I mean, I've done this because it's very much a 2000 AD thing.
Right.
Sort of the whimsical, the serving droid that has a glitch.
Yeah.
And I've got a spark and a stutter. I think that almost the sort of alliteration again, but it also has that sound. And I think that one is doing onomatopoeias where the words sound like what they're supposed to do.
Absolutely.
And it's that I'm kind of having this droid is very much a 2000 AD thing, that the droid is not quite working right.
Yeah.
He really likes this girl. His hands are trembling, his legs are going. It's like, haven't we all been there, particularly when we were younger? I mean, it doesn't say that he's younger, but
still young.
Yeah. and then demure.
Yeah.
Nice soft word for a woman. Don't ever call a woman a demure unless you happen to be 83 at the time. But the word is like an epiphany.
Yeah.
It's this religious moment, a moment of clarity. It should almost be a moment of joy.
Yeah.
Bang! It's not.
No.
She slams his eye fork in. I could have shortened that. I mean, just done Rena slammed his fork into his eye. I think it would have been just as good. Faster. So. That was one of the things you labour over, choices like that.
Yeah.
And then obviously the last bit is like, it's almost Wendig. The shock, the pain, they don't do much, but it's the dizzying, weightless tumble over the back of that chair. Yeah. Her writhing body. There's things.
They do in a sense of, going back to the sort of syllabic content, shock, pain, mono. Then you get dizzying, weightless, tumble. So it is working for you, in terms of this proliferation of, oh my God, this is happening, it's getting worse, and he's going over. It's the syllabic content is working there. Yeah, they're not quite empty words, because you can still relate to shock, you can still relate to pain. It's better if they're embellished a little bit with something more, and from a syllabic point of view, I think it does work there, because it's sort of contrasted with the polysyllables of the other words.
It is trying to create this sense of just like a mind unable to process what is happening.
Yeah.
So there's like snatches of this, but then there's longer passages of that. It's like this is a sense of confusion that's trying, not necessarily 100% effectively, but
no, I think it is. Yeah, not to just to reiterate it, but yeah, shock, pain. It does do that.
Tallied is a word that I really, really wanted a sharp, harsher sound.
Yeah.
That's what I'm coming back to in 3 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do like, I mean, the cafe distorted into Bedlam. I don't think distorted is idiomatic. You probably wouldn't expect it to be in the middle of that sentence.
Yeah.
And you could use something other than Bedlam, but Bedlam is harsh again, quite anyway.
Yeah.
But also, it's become a word for craziness.
Yeah.
But it also is a noun, a proper noun, because it was the name of an insane asylum in London. So it kind of like has that intertextuality. It's working for me twice. I do like distorted into Bedlam.
With those two, in close proximity, they both work, and they both work in conjunction with one another.
But
I think
the thing with distorted is that you could say pandemonium broke out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Such a cliche,
but I think it would do the same on one level.
Yeah.
But I've used distorted because of his state of mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
That he could almost be visualising this as old style Bedlam. It's like almost, or it could just be that craziness is happening around him where he is. It's like I kind of wanted that to work. I think it works on both levels.
I do. I mean, if you did have the pandemonium broke out, because it is a cliche, it would completely rob you of any, causing any kind of reaction in your reader, because you haven't used that. You've gone for something different. It does cause you to think, because cliches are cliches because people just know and expect and really don't really react to them in a way that you do to a more original sentence. And the distorted does take you back into his mind, I think.
That is like the craziness, like what the hell is going on? And like the whole 2000 AD world has that craziness about it sometimes.
Yeah.
And obviously the violence can be a part of that. But I do think, like in yours, I wanted to have like consequences.
Yeah.
And I think mine is like an internal consequence, like much more than yours or Worley's. It's like what the man is thinking as he goes sort of spinning backwards with that thing in his eye and everything just going crazy.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I wanted to get a sense of that. I don't think that Worley got a sense of that.
And you really obviously localise it in him, don't you? Because we are there.
You've got to have somebody you care about.
Absolutely, and that's it's the viewpoint of him, isn't it, as well? So that's quite a clever idea anyway, isn't it? Or rather, it's quite a normal thing to do, isn't it, to have, at least scene by scene anyway, isn't it, the viewpoint of one character.
Yeah. A key part of the text, when you have a serious action, if you have somebody being stabbed in the eye, then you want to know why it matters.
Yeah.
It's like you have to get inside that guy's head, or at least get inside the head of the guy who's stabbing them.
Yes. I think it's much more satisfying as a reader, isn't it, though, to think, right, we're in Zach, I'm focusing through Zach, or, feeding the information through him, and then obviously you're becoming him anyway as you do go over the tunnel, the chair and so forth, and you feel the pain, and I think it's far better to do that than really be just the omniscient narrator who knows everything about everybody.
We're going to have to pick a winner.
Right.
We both know it's me, but we may as well have a debate.
Should we just go through the process anyway? Yeah,
let's go through the process.
Yeah, okay.
I think I've taken mine back 10 seconds.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't think we've done huge amounts differently.
I think essentially we've both tried to give some kind of characterisation to their setting, relationship.
You've done more with Rena than with Zach, I think. She's the key to yours, because she's the bestial peace sandwich.
Yes,
is Rena, whereas Zach is the key to mine.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. We've both gone for like a pandemonium breaking out.
Yeah.
I think that you've described the consequences of what happens in a way that's more literal. A woman walking by screamed and dropped her drink, cup smashing, a couple sat holding hands, they jumped up.
That is probably a part I would look at and think, right, what is that actually doing what I want it to do? I want to have pandemonium, or have the sort of periphery of the cafe reacting to what's going on. Is that working for me? So I probably would revisit that bit, because it probably does feel a little bit, I think, flat, maybe.
You've remained external, which is again a contrast to what you did in the previous one, where you were more up close and interested in Rorak and Jack. Here you've remained external to any thought processes.
So really, because you do go out and come in, maybe you should possibly get the upper hand there, really, because at least you're trying to.
No, I don't necessarily think so.
Because do more in that sense.
But somebody reading a book is not going to go, oh, well, he's tried to do more. I mean, he hasn't succeeded, but he's tried to do more, so it's better. They're not going to think that, are they?
No.
I like the sort of the way yours goes from sort of gentleness. There's this undercurrent. Look to the coffee and then into Zach's eyes. It's not flowery prose, but it does give you that time. I mean, you wouldn't say, I looked into your eyes, if it wasn't for like a second.
Yeah.
If it was just like, and then looked away again, you probably wouldn't even bother to write it.
Yeah.
Or you certainly wouldn't say looked at the coffee and then into Zach's eyes. You'd say and glanced at Zach.
Yeah.
Something along those lines.
Yeah.
So I like that way, that it gives you that time.
Well, yeah, it's definitely, it's going back to that, trying to create a little bit of something there for the reader just to hang on to. It shows you that, just careful thinking is what is required, isn't it, to convey something, that I think that original text does lack a little bit. Yeah, there's things that I've been trying to do, animalistic symbolism and so forth, and have that transfer from her action onto him as the result of injury. But then again, coming on to yours, I like that we go into him with the shock, the pain, dizzying, weightless tumble, which is all the more severe because of what's preceded it, what's been before. What did we pick in the first one then?
My one.
Did we?
Yeah.
Oh, we've got to pick mine then.
I don't think that's how we decide.
Oh, isn't it?
No.
I'd have to pick mine, only because I'm biased, only because I like the symbolism of what I've at least tried to do. However, yours does quite a lot in terms of that contrast in the scenes, the setup, and actually what the payoff actually is. So, I don't know.
See, I like my setup. I like my setup. I'm not convinced by the switch.
You're not?
No.
Really? Why
No,
not?
it would be one thing that it's just going to forever bother me, I think. So, but I do like in yours. I like, we talked about Conrad's like that. The degeneration, that undercurrent of threat that it carries, but also there's that sort of the sandwich that I mentioned like half a dozen times. So I'm happy to give you the win.
All right, I'll take it then.
All right.
I'll take it. So 1-1 then.
Yeah, this is not good. My ego does not like losing.
Nobody likes.
It does not like losing. I'm going to get a fork and I'm going to see if we can't decide on another winner. So do you agree with our choice? Of course you don't. Mine was obviously better. Feel free to put in the comments exactly that.
Yeah. It's his channel, yeah.
If YouTube will permit me, I will put a poll. Otherwise, you can vote in the comments on which one you prefer.
Or if anybody would like to have a go themselves at the same passage. Absolutely. That's quite interesting.
Do you know what? That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Comment, like, subscribe, vote. See you in the next one.
Excellent.
What are we doing next?
completely irrelevant, but I can see why people get on,
Stabbed in the eye with a fork.
Yeah. No, why they get the whole what do they call it when they're on camera and they just continuously laugh?
Corpsing.
Corpse. I can totally get that. I really can. Right, Gary.